We are recording. Thank you very much for being here again, those of you who are on the live call with us. And bear with me for just a moment. It's good to see your faces. I'm going to bring us live onto Facebook. And here we go. Brilliant. Welcome very much. Welcome very much, she says. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. This is our weekly teaching series. If you're new to the group, if you're new to the Sovereign Way, welcome into our space. Every Monday, we look at a topic relating to your mental and vibrational sovereignty in the world. And we're specifically focused on the truth expansion, which is the natural ascension of consciousness that comes with a poised and sovereign life, which is incredibly enhanced in the times that we're in. So that's our niche of expertise, you could say. And in the current series that we're teaching on every week now, we've called it the Veiled Obstructions. We are discussing the subtle glitches that are structured somewhere in our blind spots that influence the way our manifestations show up and how impactful our magnetism is in our mission. And for those of you who are members in the Oasis, we're also directly dissolving those obstructions and opening for growth and possibility. And we've already seen massive, massive transformations. And some of you are on the call already today. And I just have to say, I honor the incredible work that you guys are doing, that we are doing in the Oasis. And for those of you who are not with us in the Oasis, yes, get in here. The water is lovely and you belong with us. But today we are talking about true relation. And remember, this is in relation to the subtle glitches hidden in our blind spots that prevent the truest outpouring of that powerful magnetism that you have. And one of those glitches is not being in true relation. And so we're going to look at what that means. And we are going tomorrow, we're going to really unravel what some of those glitches are around what true relation is. But for today, I'm going to talk to you about the dynamic of what true relation is. And you're going to be able to see it a little bit more clearly, just sort it out a little bit more clearly in your life to make more sovereign choices about how you engage with the world that you are in relation with. So true relation, in the simplest term, is your ability to be sovereign and yet relational. Now, that's a little bit of a paradox to think of, maybe not so much, but kind of. But essentially, staying sovereign in a relational world is at the core of the human quest. Because your sovereignty is what holds you in alignment with your truth, with your source. But the reason it's a paradox is because to relate is at the core of all of existence. You see, all of reality is composed of a series, not a series, but a soup of events and happenings called actualized experiences. So to be in relation with something is to affect that something while simultaneously being affected by that same thing. So your mastery is being sovereign while that affecting is going on. So essentially, to exist is to live in a give and take relationship with the world of energy that you're swimming in, where your presence, where your essence and presence directly impacts everything manifest and also is affected by it in such a way that you are constantly held buoyant in your own ascension, that you are drawing from those relations the medicine and the wisdom and the beauty that would bring you into deeper wholeness. So for you who are consciously becoming more aware, who have chosen a life path that means you are doing what you are doing to be more loving, to be more powerful, to be more sovereign, the question that you're always asking yourself is, where does your sovereignty come from when you live in a relational universe? And the quick answer is it comes from the Lord. It comes from source. It comes from the universe. It comes from the one true God of all, etc. That's the quick and easy answer. But most intimately, if that is entirely true, that you are only calling your sovereignty from source, then what does that mean for your relationships? If you're working on your spiritual maturity and your partner isn't, for example, or what about if your path involves surrender and her path involves conquest? Or what if you fundamentally believe in abundance and provision and he fundamentally believes in lack and scarcity? How do you hold harmony and sovereignty of mind in that sort of a relationship? Now, my authority on this is experience, of course. I enjoy a very successful marriage that has traversed the wildest of challenges and survived multiple crisis points. And I'm the luckiest woman alive. But my husband and I have an advantage, which is that we practice the sovereign way. So we share an understanding on how to maintain harmony, even though we're very different kinds of beings on totally different life paths, sharing a geography and a soul mission to raise two children in a complex, constantly changing relationality. But when you don't have a framework and understanding of expansion as a collective phenomenon, then it's really easy for you to be tempted to back away from embodying the new things that you know about life. It's tempting for you to hold back from moving through the veil and into the new expression of you. It's tempting to want to deny what you know in order to be more approachable or relationable to another. There are some parts of you still that still wants to be understood, that wants to be belonging inside something that is close and something that is known to you. And so you hold on to structures of relation, you hold on to stories that have been told in a shared space about what is real and what's going on. And that causes actually you to continue compartmentalizing yourself. And it causes ongoing separation in you, separation between your higher self and your way of interfacing in the world. Separation, of course, causes tension and disease and suffering. So this is a huge, huge glass ceiling when it comes to your personal truth expansion. It's a huge glass ceiling, one of the hardest to face. How do we be in true relation, loving compassionately through stories that don't match? You can't make them match. You can bring harmony through them. And in doing so, you can alchemize even the most complex of toxic relationships. But it requires a great deal of vibrational and mental mastery. Further, you can also get too stuck in a paradigm that you're only seeing a reflection of yourself. You've heard that the world is a mirror and that what you see out there is a reflection of who you are. You can get way too rigid about this. You can get way too convinced. This is the opposite of believing that the story is reality. This is the opposite of that. This is believing that there is no truth in the story and that the only thing you're seeing is a reflection of yourself. You can get very heady then. You can start trying to interpret everything personally. Why is this happening? What am I doing wrong? What traumas have I yet to uncover that could be causing this person to meet me in this way? What does that black cat mean that's crossing the road over there? Why is that crack shaped like that? Is it trying to tell me something? We get really superstitious when we believe that everything out there is merely a reflection on something that's on the inside. And worse, when this happens, we begin to take too much ownership in relationships. We get really, really convinced that it's all about us. When we're not being truly relational, when we're not being truly relational, we're being egotistical. We're convinced that it's all about us. We say, but the world is a mirror. The world is a mirror. So what I'm seeing is my reflection. It's all about me. No, it is not all me. It's all God. It is all God. And you are not a cold observer staring at a soulless hologram. It is not a cold mirror. This is the body of Christ that you're peering into. Peer with deep compassion. That's to be in true relation. Now, if you cannot be truly relational, then you're not interacting with life at all. You're just stuck in a story. And when you create from inside a story, what do you get? More story. You begin recreating from inside a particular set of paradigms that are just going to recreate more of the same. So for true transformation in relationship, it's necessary for you to integrate your knowing, on the one hand, the knowing that you are a sovereign co-creator of your experience, seeing reflections of yourself in the manifest world, and also that you are inside a relational energy body that contains millions, billions of expressions of Christ that are as true as you, and it's not all about you. This is the key. Now, if you're clever now, you'll take this teaching and you'll pair it with last week's teaching on the difference between being humble and being vulnerable. A teaching that'll help you shift so that you are humble before God, not humiliated by the world, and so that you are vulnerable to truth, but not vulnerable to harm. So check out that teaching and let us know if you need a replay, because if you watch that teaching as well and combine it with the knowing that you can integrate being sovereign as a co-creator in relationship, and also that you are not to own the entirety of relationship. These things together will liberate you. Number one, will liberate you from other people's energy so that you are not afflicted by frequencies of vibrations that would serve to diminish your spiritual ascension or to bring you into entropy or to enhance illusion or story in your mind. Number one. And number two, it'll also soften what's hardened in your energy, including behavioral patterns, including self-sabotaging mindsets, including a hardened inability to receive the love, the grace, and the abundance that the world has for you. If you soften these things, which you do when you're truly relational, the alchemy of dissolving all obstructions in your mindset happens much, much faster. Look at this model for a moment here. Actually, I'm going to do two. Now, the first one is called the sovereign model of human consciousness. And if you've been with us for a while, you'll know this very well. These are the elements that we need to be aware of in this model. Now, we say that all of creation comes from one source and is made of one substance. This is the unified field of everything. We'll call it the quantum soup, if we like, the potentiality, but also the consciousness beyond it, the singularity. So it is the Father as well as the Son. We're going to call it God because that's easy. And inside this field of all potentiality, there's a very specific strand of consciousness and energy that is individualized as you. So if this is all things, and this is essence, this is life force, in the beginning was the Word, or we can call it the Holy Spirit if we like. And the individualized point of that, the singularity that becomes who you are, your very specific and unique expression of God, that's represented here by this diamond consciousness. And it's a diamond because a prism will refract light. So a prism will take what is complete and whole in this sacred body, the sacred primordial substance, and it will refract it so that it becomes a a projection of value, that's unique to this particular individual unit of consciousness. So, for example, he doesn't understand me would be a declaration of a value. Or perhaps I can be exploited might be another declaration of a value that informs your energy. And what is when quantum matter is imprinted by your energy, which is governed by your subconscious mind, then that is how your experience will form in your actualized world. So in other words, if you have rules about how relation is for you, then that is how you will find that relation is for you. Now we're going to up-level this model here, and we're going to say, well, I suppose just to summarize here, remember that this is creative life force. This is constant creation, constant expansion. That is always, always on the move, and you cannot escape it. So your framework of consciousness, the way that you've chosen to interpret life, which is your world view, is what shapes that creative potentiality and turns it into actualized vibration, which informs matter. So we understand that, right? That's just quantum in a flash. So let's up-level this model. We're going to turn it on its side like that. And that's going to reveal that here we have you. This is your diamond consciousness that interprets and projects. And here is the energetic universe that you live in. In other words, this is the vibrational womb of your manifestation. Let's put it like that. And let's say that this circle here, this is the edges of what you know. So this is everything that you experience is inside this vibrational reality here, which means that this body is made of everything that you believe is true, everything that you think about what you believe is true, everything you feel about what you believe is true, and everything that what you believe is true relates back to you through your prehension. Got it? Good. Now this over here, I'm going to change my color now. This over here is the one you're in relation with. It's your mother-in-law or your wife or your business partner or your client. Yes? And this is their vibrational universe. And this is everything that they think is true about the world, and everything they believe about what they think is true about the world, and everything they feel about what they believe they think about the world, and everything that that world shines back to them through their prehension. But oh no, it's also what they believe you experience about the world. Because look, this area here, this is relationship. This is where their vibrational universe and your vibrational universe overlap. So it's not just what they believe about their universe, it's also what they believe about your universe. Actually, more specifically, what they believe about what you believe about your universe, because this isn't your true universe. It's just what you believe about your universe and the way that you're projecting your story into theirs. And they're feeling about what they think, and they're thinking about what they feel, and also what your vibrational universe gives them as feedback about all of this. And since you're also in the picture, there's also everything you think about their universe, your interpretation of how they're showing up in your story, your interpretation of what their story must be, and how you feel about all that, and how you think about all that, and how their vibrational universe feeds back to you through your prehension, all of the things that you've projected about what you think they think. So this is an algorithmic mess. This is absolutely bananas. And to be in true relation is not to be trying to navigate this incredibly complicated energetic landscape. That's not being in true relation, because the truth is you don't know anything about what the person you're in relation with is truly going through. You cannot cognize this. You cannot intuit it. You cannot emote it. You cannot sense it. You will sense and emote and cognize certain data points that are available to you through your framework of consciousness, but you will not have the piece in totality. which means that as long as you are in some sort of interpretation about who this one before you is, as long as you are telling any story about this character, you are not in relation with Christ. You are in relation with a story. Let that sink in for a moment. How are you going to untangle these complex relationships and bring peace if you're not willing to be in relation with the Christ in that one? If you are going to insist on being in relation with them through a story that you know isn't true. So the key is to untangle these stories from your identity. You're not trying to untangle the stories and find out, well, what actually happened that day in March? Did you lie or didn't you lie? That's not the point. Forget about it. It's irrelevant. The point here is to untangle your identity from these stories so that this bubble can ascend, so that you, the one who you are not tied down by the stories, by the chains and the anchors and the ties that bind you to the world, to form, to actualized happening, to untangle these so that you can naturally ascend, so you can naturally become more buoyant. Now, energetically, this is the most beneficial for true relation, because now the improved vibration here will, by law, positively impact the magnetic field of the other. So if you untangle yourself from the story of who that one is and you ascend, you are not leaving them behind. You're not letting go. You're just untangled. You cannot let go of them. We all belong in the soul of the world. But when your bubble ascends, so will theirs. Now, this is important. If you're trying to magnetize the right client for your business, it is really important that you honor this, because if you're getting too tangled up in who you think your perfect avatar is, and you're getting too prescriptive and too orchestrated about what a story about who that perfect client is, you could be missing an enormous amount of the magnetism that comes from you naturally and will draw to you who that client is. So what's going to happen tomorrow is that our luxury spa clients are going to enjoy an immersion teaching on this, which is an incredible opportunity for you to up-level any relationship. Whether it's a toxic relationship that you have with someone in your life, or whether it is an obscure relationship with a client that you haven't yet magnetized, or whatever it might be, this is an opportunity for you to up-level your sovereignty in that relationship, to purify your manifestation here, and to simplify those strands of story in the space between you. And you're also going to receive some simple tools to help keep your sovereignty when true relation is challenging. And we'll also do a group vibrational attunement. So we're going to do some healing work together. Now, if you're not in the Oasis, come on in. The water is lovely and we would love to have you. You are so welcome here. Reach out to Matthew Andrzejewski Wilson, who you'll see in this group, and let him know that you're ready to join. There are weekly immersion teachings and replays, an opulent library of audio and video tutorials, meditations, thought experiments, and they're all primed for ascending masters and for mature spiritual seekers. And you're also eligible for a monthly vibrational ontology session with one of our expert teachers. And these are all curated to train you to be sovereign in the world. So thank you very much for coming. If you joined us live, then I'll say goodbye now. And if you're on the call, then I will take your questions. Good.